It's the Electric Fetus 19th anniversary, and we are celebrating with these great new releases. The replacements, Pleased to Meet Me on Sire Records, LP and cassette $6.99, compact disc $12.99. Hooskadoo, Warehouse Songs and Stories on Warner Brothers, LP and cassette $8.99, compact disc $15.99. The Wallets, Take It on Twin Tone Records, LP and cassette $6.99. And Soul Asylum, While You Were Out on Twin Tone Records, LP $6.99. Come in now and save the Electric Fetus, 2010 4th Avenue South, Minneapolis.
I know what you're thinking. Is there a deal for you with the all-new Southdale Ford? Well, you'll find out when you come on down and take a look at the great deals like this 80 Ford Club Wagon. Only $139 a month, no payments till October. Or this 81 Citation, just $79 a month and no payments till October. Come on, Twin Cities. Call 835-5555 and make my day.
Southdale Ford Yugo, 835-5555. Call now.
That's power, and it's power, God's power, that you need. So don't miss R.W. Shambach in a special miracle revival here in Minneapolis at Orpheum Theater, 910 Hennepin Avenue. Services will be held Friday and Saturday, May 22nd and 23rd at Orpheum Theater. That's R.W. Shambach in Crusade, May 22nd and 23rd at 7:30 p.m. nightly. Come expecting God's power to perform a miracle for you.
1 in 4 Americans suffer some form of heart and blood vessel disease, more than 30 million. February is Heart Month. Learn about heart disease and how we can prevent it. Call 690-5216 for information about how you can keep a happy and healthy heart. I'm Amy Powell, News 11, and we know what matters.
Wednesday, May 20th, a today like no other. Today we'll be coming to you live from the Twin Cities. Join us at 7, Wednesday morning on TV 11. Good morning. Our week-long tour of some of this country's more livable cities has brought us this morning to the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota. Together, the Twin Cities have forged a reputation as the cultural capital of the upper Midwest and the economic center of the Northern Plains. Despite this area's long winters and short summers, the people who live here enjoy a quality of life that they say is second to none. We'll try to find out why they feel that way today, Wednesday, May the 20th, 1987.
From NBC News, this is Today, live from Minneapolis, with Bryant, Gumble, and Jane Pauley.
Throughout this country, there are many cities that go hand in hand, but there are only 2 that are always joined at the lip. Together, Minneapolis and St. Paul have shared problems and fortunes, and on this day, they are sharing a much-needed rain that has chased some of us inside. And good morning. Welcome to Today on this Wednesday morning, where, as you can tell, we've been greeted by a slight drizzle here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. I say we because only yours truly is sitting outside the Hennepin County Government Center. One Jane Pauley happens to be warm and dry inside that same government center. Good morning, Jane.
Good morning, Bryant. What do you expect? This is the land of 10,000 lakes. The water's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, I guess.
Aside from that, Bryant, you represent Minneapolis, and I will represent St. Pauli.
It also seems to always happen to us on a Wednesday. Have you noticed that?
Yes, it does.
When we were on the train, we got rain in Minneapolis. When we were on the boat, we got rain on a Wednesday. Nonetheless, some of you often ask when we go on the road, what happens if it rains? You're about to find out. We're going to take a look at some of that sibling rivalry that Jane alluded to, and in this half hour, try to find out exactly what it is that makes St. Paul much different than Minneapolis. Jane?
Minnesota is well known around the world for a fiercely competitive brand of politics. We're going to meet Minnesota's Attorney General. His name, Hubert Humphrey III. This is also a pretty good place to do a show. There are more than 90 theaters here, and we'll be meeting the cast of the world's longest-running play with the original cast. And about those lakes, there are about 10,000, and we'll look at a couple.
Jane, this is an area that prides itself in the accomplishments of the immigrants who settled here and built this community. We're going to take a look at the problems of the latest wave of immigrants to come to the Twin Cities. That's the Hmong community, the Hmong refugees of the farmlands of Laos. And we're also going to see how the Twin Cities area is taking a page from the Nashville book and getting into the music scene in a very big way. All that's to come. Let's start out at the news desk in New York. Warm and dry also on this morning, Studio 3B. John Palmer. Good morning, John.
Brian, Jane, thank you. Good morning. A U.S. military transport plane left Bahrain in the Persian Gulf on this morning on the first leg of a flight to the United States, bringing home the bodies of 24 of the 37 American crewmen who died in the missile attack on the USS Stark. NBC News correspondent Stephen Frazier reports now from Bahrain.
A solemn ceremony in Bahrain as bodies of American sailors killed on the USS Stark were brought ashore and transferred to a plane which will carry them to West Germany. The ship's captain, Glenn Brindell, looked on. Next to him, Barbara Kaiser, whose husband Steve was one of those killed. The Navy counts 37 dead in the attack. The remains of 24 men have been identified. Those of 11 others have not, and 2 have not been recovered. The Navy is still searching in the Gulf. The Stark has been towed to a deep-water anchorage. A Navy damage assessment team is now aboard. That team is looking at wrecked sleeping quarters and other damage to plan repairs. This is unprecedented. No ship of this size has been hit by 2 missiles and has ever sailed again. Another team is on the Stark now, a Navy board of inquiry trying to establish what happened. In the time since the attack, the admiral commanding Navy forces in the Gulf has learned that the Stark's crew was at its weapons and its radar consoles, was tracking the Iraqi jet, but never knew the jet had fired missiles.
I believe quite honestly that the crew of the Stark did not believe they were being taken under fire by a hostile aircraft. I honestly don't believe that they felt that they were under any danger.
The Board of Inquiry seeks to answer questions that have been raised before about American military activity in the Middle East. Was the United States prepared for what can confront it here? And is there any way to be better prepared? Stephen Frazier, NBC News, Bahrain.
In this country, Nicaraguan rebel leader Adolfo Calero will be called to testify before the Congressional Committee investigating the Iran-Contra affair today. Calero, in a prepared statement, says his forces gladly accepted money from many sources because, he said, the Contras were forsaken by Congress. More on the hearings now from Bob Kerr in Washington.
Behind the scenes, committee investigators have traced travelers' checks drawn from money donated to the Contras. Robert Owen, Colonel North's self-described courier, transferred thousands in travelers' checks to Contra leaders. Now, Utah Republican Orrin Hatch has disclosed that North cashed some himself, raising the question of personal use.
Do you know why Colonel North may have cashed some of these travelers' checks at food stores and gas stations in the Washington area? Do you know why he may have used or cashed $100 at a tire store here in this area for 2 snow tires?
No, sir.
Owen recalled his wedding day when North showed up with a gift.
He did provide me $1,000 in traveler's checks, and I said I don't feel comfortable taking this, but he said no, please use it as you see fit.
Owen says he and North joked that their activities could land them in jail, that North predicted he'd be the fall guy, and that CIA Director Casey knew everything. Today's witness, Adolfo Calero, Colonel North's chief contact with Contra military units. Bob Kerr, NBC News at the U.S. Capitol.
There was a terrible tragedy at a New York City zoo last night. 2 polar bears mauled and killed an 11-year-old boy who, with 2 playmates, went inside the bear's enclosure for a swim in a moat surrounding their lair. One of the bears grabbed one of the boys. Police were alerted by his screams, and they shot the bears to death, but it was too late. The boy was dead. The 2 playmates managed to escape. Officials at Brooklyn's Prospect Park Zoo will begin an investigation today into security and safety practices at the zoo. Well, it was quite a day in Chicago for Harry Carey. On Tuesday, his first day back on the job as announcer for the Chicago Cubs after suffering a stroke 3 months ago. As Jim Cummins reports, Carey, who has been broadcasting Major League games for 40 years, was his old self again.
They're going to runners. Swung on, a base hit into center field. 1 run is in, another man going to third. Holy cow.
Harry Carey is back following recovery from a stroke. 41 pounds lighter and more exuberant than ever.
There's a line dive, base hit, 1 run in, and the Cubs have men at first and third. How about that?
His return to the broadcast booth was marked by a proclamation from the governor, a telephone call from the president,
and it's great to have you back,
and a salute from almost 29,000 fans at Wrigley Field.
We sent a note up to him. you know, he'll say hello to your grandma or anybody you want.
Get well wishes to Bob Skiffington, the Budweiser man from Decatur.
Kerry says now he's fully recovered and he has no plans to retire soon.
As long as it's fun for me and as long as it's fun for the people, as long as the people enjoy it, then I want to stick around.
Jim Cummins, NBC News, Chicago.
It's a little past 8 minutes after the hour. By the way, the Cubs won that game. Back to Bryant, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Of course they won, John. It was 9-2. And John, by the way, I can't lie to you and tell you that it's very comfortable out here. It's not. It's windy and it's a little chilly. Temperatures in the 50, and there are clouds overhead, but the rain has stopped on this day. They assure us that the sun is going to come out in the Twin Cities. Unfortunately, it's going to be on Thursday. On that note, let's take a check of the weather. Willard Scott has set up shop over by the river. Willard?
If there's anything I can't stand, it's a smart aleck. You don't do the weather, I do the weather. Do you get that straight? These people are so happy here today in St. Paul and Minneapolis and all of Minnesota to see rain. They have just had a dry period. In fact, the whole winter, 15 inches of snow. Last year they got 96. And let me tell you, I'm in my favorite town in the whole world. And don't you forget it, Minneapolis. St. Paul was here first. Do you get that? Minneapolis is a suburb of St. Paul. And Ron Maddox is a local politician, and Ron is a friend of mine who's been around for years. What's the difference between Minneapolis and St. Paul?
Well, as I was just showing Willard, the difference is in the Bible you can't find Minneapolis, but St. Paul you can.
That's, bless your heart. See that? Read the Bible. It says St. Paul. You can leave now, Ron. Look what I found. You talked about Nashville, Tennessee. They have Goo Goo Cluster ice cream here. They're so far ahead of everybody else in the world, it doesn't even matter. Would you, here, there's my Goo Goo. How you do? Good morning. It is so, this young man, this is Eddie Landa, and Eddie is a black belt karate expert. And how old are you?
I'm 9 years old.
Did you see The Karate Kid?
Yeah, I did.
Did you like it?
Well, it could have been better with.
How could it have been better?
If I was in it.
Okay, let's see. Let me see one of your moves, okay?
Okay.
Can I see you do something? Let's see.
Well, first, I have these T-shirts.
Oh, that's very nice.
And one's a National Karate T-shirt. That's where I go.
Right. June Reed's a friend of mine. I love him.
Oh.
Yeah.
And this is an Eddie Landa shirt.
Oh, that's what your shirt. Well, I wish you the best. Give me one of your moves. Let me see one of your best moves. Okay, here we go. Hi-ya! 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 Hey, man, let's hear it. There you go. Fantastic. If I did that, I'd be in the hospital over here. It's what is it? St. Joseph's, another great. St. Pauley and St. Paul. If you got to get sick, this is the place to do it. Let's do the weather and check the act this morning. We do have some severe weather this morning, and it's in my right pocket. And as soon as I get it out, I'll read it to you. Don't go away. Here's a note. Buy some butter and milk on the way home. Slight chance of severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, and guess where? Eastern half of the plains. That's where we are, basically the Mississippi Valley. South from Minneapolis today, all the way down through the western Ohio Valley. Flash flood warnings in almost all of Iowa, especially central and eastern. Heavy 2 to 4 inches of rain. The northern plains and the upper Mississippi will get heavy rain. That's good news for the people of Minnesota. And fog again in the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the mid-Atlantic states. And snow in the mountains of Montana this morning. How about those apples? Hot continues in the lower Ohio Valley and the southeast. Eddie and I now are going to give you some local forecasts. So here's what's happening in your world this morning.
59 degrees, cloudy skies in the Twin Cities. This afternoon, showers and occasional thunderstorms. Some may be heavy at times. High around 75 degrees.
St. Paul, we're having a ball. Mr. William H. McDaniel, Mr. Mac, they love him to death down in Bay Springs, Mississippi. He is 109 years old today. Okay, Eddie, one more. Here we go. Back to Bryant Gumble. Hiya!
All right, well, thank you. 12 past the hour now, and on Close-Up this morning, the great debate. First, some orientation as we begin our stay in the Twin Cities. Minneapolis and St. Paul both sit on the Mississippi River, with Minneapolis mostly on the west side of the river and St. Paul over on the east side. They are always called the Twin Cities, but really they're not very much alike. In fact, there's definitely some sibling rivalry between the two. We talked to some local residents and heard these kind of opinions.
Minneapolis does have a lot more going for it, because I've been to St. Paul, and I've gone there some days, like when I'm not working. And it's really a drag. It's boring. There's nothing over there.
To me, Minneapolis is too big and too confusing and too clustered. It's too fast-paced for me.
I don't know. It just seems real easy in Minneapolis. Everything's nice and square and laid out, and you can kind of find your way. But St. Paul angles all over.
Well, I find St. Paul to be a much more civilized city.
St. Paul is all right. It's very, very small and kind of
back in the Stone Age.
But I think St. Paul is better. They got all that sports and everything, but we got the brains in this side.
St. Paul's kind of more or less, it's kind of behind the Iron Curtain. I consider Minneapolis a big suburb of St. Paul.
George Latimer is the mayor of St. Paul. Barbara Carlson is a member of the Minneapolis City Council. I'll start with you ladies first. What generalizations might I be able to make about St. Paul and not be far off the mark?
Well, you might say that St. Paul is the Boston of the Midwest, that it's very traditional, old money, very, very serious, where Minneapolis tends to have a more yuppified atmosphere. We swing a little more, if you can say that Swedes can swing.
Is that necessarily better?
Well, it's more fun, I think, and I'm crazy about George, you know, and I went to school in St. Paul. Maybe you'd like to share what you think of St. Paul,
I'd like to,
George?
but I'd rather you not touch me, Barbara. Actually, we don't have a rivalry, and that's very misleading. We've long ago decided that wealth and power Minneapolis is in control of. And the reason we're a livable city is St. Paul is left to the less important things like beauty, truth,
now, George,
goodness, and occasional
George,
humor.
I'm going to try not to touch you, George, but the thing that makes us both so fabulous is that we have wonderful people. Absolutely.
I'm not going to let you off that easy.
None of this Chamber of the Commerce
Is it
stuff.
true that St. Paul tries to fend off progress?
We fought it off very well for many years, yes. Yes.
Is it true that Minneapolis is in bed with progress at any price?
In bed may be too strong a word, Bryant, but we are known to enjoy our developers, and we pride ourselves. This is one of the healthiest cities in the nation. People cry to come here and build fabulous buildings.
Officially, governmentally, when you do collide, over what do you collide?
Occasionally a project or two that we've had.
Yes, once or twice it's happened.
But to be serious for a moment, you know, most central cities are not at war with each other. It has to do with the out-migration of wealth and people from central cities. And you don't see a whole lot of economic or people shifting from one central city or another. It has to do with the other kind of exodus. So we've collaborated on housing. We've just had a shelter program for the poor, $5 or $6 million that we've worked on together.
Everybody has a bed in Minneapolis and St. Paul
Yeah.
if they wish to have one. They truly do. And it also, we're very good to our suburbs. We have something that may be boring called fiscal disparities, but that means we don't even have poor suburbs. And what is good for Minneapolis is good for St. Paul. We have fabulous development in Minneapolis. We have a new Saks that's going to come in. We have a conservatory.
What is that, a Saks?
You've heard
This
of
sounds like a Chamber of Commerce.
It does. Why don't we cut her off?
Is that to say that if you had to live in St. Paul?
Well, if you want to shop, you want to come to Minneapolis.
If you had to live in St. Paul,
I have lived in St. Paul.
And you would
No,
again.
I would not. I would do it again.
You'd be a lot calmer if you came back and lived there. You should either get off your diet or come live in St. Paul.
George.
I got to thank you both. Who do I thank for the weather? George Latimer, Barbara Carlson, thanks both. We're going to come back and talk Minnesota politics in just a moment with a Humphrey. We'll do that after a break. This is Today on NBC.
Here, I want to show you something. Come on, it's about your furniture. Here's a typical chair, the way it looks before Park begins custom fitting your new upholstery. See this piece of webbing? It should be replaced, so Park does it. These springs, Park automatically reties them. At Park, we take pride in what we do, so you'll be proud of what you get. If you call us right now with an order for any sofa or 2 chairs, you'll get a gift certificate good for 2 rooms of professional carpet cleaning free.
David is right at home with indoor air pollution. You are too. So many familiar things inside can pollute the very air you breathe. Surprised? Honeywell isn't. Today, you need a quality Honeywell air cleaner. It can remove up to 95% of the air's polluting particles. Switch to a better environment. Call now to learn more about a Honeywell air cleaner.
This is amazing. I could eat this new Yoplait 150 for any number of reasons. It only has 150 calories, it has no fat, and it tastes better to me than those fat yogurts. But that's not it. I eat it because I want to get in tune with my body. I want to create a balance between good taste and good for you. And I'm going to get into this French leotard.
Introducing Yoplait 150, the low-calorie way to taste how good yogurt can be.
These are teeny weeny calories.
Superstars Dustin and Warren are as unalike as Mutt and Jeff, yet twice as friendly. And this week's People tells how they teamed up on their troubled new movie, Ishtar. People celebrates people, like Super Dad Dustin and Beatty and his ladies. Then how Lee Hart is coping as Gary's dream dies. Plus the latest famous couple, Tom Cruise and his new wife, Mimi Rogers, and so much more. Week after week, People celebrates people. This week, Beatty and Hoffman, an unexpected friendship.
Back indoors here in Minneapolis. For most of this century, Minnesota's chief export has been important national political leaders. Probably the most beloved of a long list would be Hubert H. Humphrey. This morning we're joined by Hubert H. Humphrey IV, who was the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. And good morning.
Good morning.
Pleasure to see you and to meet you. You are contemplating a run for the United States Senate on your own. Is it true, the political wisdom, that your name is worth 50,000 votes still?
Well, I hope it's a good legacy, and I hope it's a good inheritance. It's something you have to build on.
The 80s have been a little dark and a little cold for liberals in some part of the country. That's been true in Minnesota as well.
I don't think so. I think the question of liberalism is how do you take care of people's needs, and how do you meet those changing circumstances that we have to confront, and that's the essence of liberalism, is to accept that change as a challenge and as an opportunity. That's exactly what I grew up in anyway. That's what I understood liberalism to be from my childhood.
What issues would your father be talking about today if he were still alive?
Education, a challenge to meet those young people's needs for the future, an opportunity to have a job, make sure that everybody was treated equally and really have that successful chance for a better life.
I can hear a little bit of interference since we're indoors, and some of your Minnesotans have joined us here as well. Do you feel the climate changing at all on the national scene for political leaders? And if so, where is the national profile, high-profile Minnesota political leader today?
I think there is a change. I think the public is looking for honest answers. I think they're looking for responsible action. They are accepting the hard, difficult challenges that we have to confront, and I don't think they're looking for those simple, sweet, worded answers anymore. I think they understand that there are some real tough challenges out there, and with that kind of acceptance, they want their government to be working along their side and by their side.
Minnesota legislature just passed a tax increase. Minnesotans any happier about taxes than they are anywhere else in the country?
Absolutely not. I'm not, I can tell you that. But I think that we're willing to accept the fact that if we want to have the services and want to have the assistance that some of those programs provide, and that educational base, that we have to pay for it, and that we have to accept that that's our responsibility, not the next generation's responsibility to pay for.
We come to expect Minnesota to be in the forefront on many issues, not just raising taxes. Parental leave. You were the first in the country to, well, you fill in the blanks.
Well, this is our legislative session just ended up 2 days ago, and they adopted legislation that will allow a mother and a father an opportunity to have parental leave for a 6-week period. We think that's the right way to go, that you ought to have emphasis on that family, particularly in those first 6 weeks of a young child's life.
Hubert H. Humphrey III. It's a pretty good name. In fact, you gave it to your son, Hubert H. Humphrey IV?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it is once again a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in a moment. This is Today in Minneapolis on NBC.
With Glidden spread satin latex wall paint, set the mood of every room. The airy, bright colors of spring, the warm, glowing hues of a sunrise, or the cool, crisp shades of white. Get the colorful quality of Glidden spread satin for only $7.69 at Builders Square. Because the more we sell, the lower the price. The lower the price, the more we sell.
Want a good ribbon?
Come to Ground Round for our rib-picking sweepstakes. Rate our jokes to win fabulous prizes like a sharp VCR. And try our new Mighty Meaty spare ribs. At Ground Round, our spare ribs are extra meaty and tender. Get a full rack of these scrumptious ribs, a half rack with charbroiled steak, or a half rack with boneless breast of chicken. Absolutely irresistible. You'll love these ribs for take-home, too. Isn't it time you got a good ribbing? From Ground Round.
What can you get for $1 these days? An order of fries? A newspaper? A loaf of bread? Half a shoe shine? A box spring? Sure. At Slumberland, we're selling box springs for $1. You buy any selected mattress at regular price and we'll throw in the box spring for $1, including Sealy, Serta, King Coil, Simmons, or Stearns & Foster. You buy the mattress and the box spring costs you $1, one greenback, $1 air, one picture of Old George. That's all, and that's a good deal. It's on sale now at Slumberland.
Some plain talk about selling cars and helping kids. Freeway Ford South and Brookdale Ford North have teamed up for a car sale, and it's to help the children's hospitals in the Twin Cities. Now you can get a great deal, and with every new or used car or truck we sell, we're donating $50 to the Children's Miracle Network. Our combined inventory offers you the largest selection of new Ford cars and trucks in the Twin Cities. And with factory cashback, huge dealer discounts, and finance rates as low as 3.9%, you get the best deal in town. Now through May 30th at Freeway Ford and Brookdale Ford for the Children's Miracle.
We're heading towards a station break on this Wednesday morning, and we've coasted you outside. It's not that bad out here.
No, the Attorney General, Humphrey, told me a fact about Minnesota I did not know.
What's that?
Largest per capita consumption of popcorn.
Is that right?
Yeah, he said they used to have popcorn for Sunday dinner.
We're also going to check. Did you know also that we have the barbecue in this state? And
We do.
You're the barbecue on this morning. Robes, can we get a shot of all the heaters we have lined up here to try to keep us warm? Somewhere along the line, Jane's going to cook. We're going to come back in just a moment. There's more ahead from the Twin Cities after a station break.
To see the events clearly.
We like to think that we go beyond the headlines.
The NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
A fast-moving family like ours has a lot of cars. And we could spend a fortune taking care of them. Instead, we go to Jiffy Lube every 3,000 miles. In 10 minutes with no appointment, the J-Team changes the oil with a major brand, replaces the filter, lubes the chassis, fills the important fluids. 14 quality services for one low price. No matter what kind of car you drive.
Welcome to Jiffy Lube. We'll take care of you like family.
Introducing the all-new BMW 325i convertible. Metro BMW invites you to test drive a BMW wide open. Presenting the 325i convertible, a car that combines all the joys of driving a BMW. Come in now and enjoy not only driving on the road, but enjoy everything above it, too. Or how about this 1987 BMW 325 with air, no money down, $298 a month. Metro Mazda BMW, University Avenue across from Ward's on the Midway.
Dennis Feldgen has moved up to 11.
And now, News 11 with John Bachman.
Good morning. 59 degrees at 7:25. A complete look at the weather in a moment. First in the news, though, one person is dead this morning after a shooting in South Minneapolis. Police found the body shortly after 1:30 this morning in the backyard of 3821 Portland Avenue South. Police say the victim was fatally wounded by a shotgun or perhaps a rifle. Investigators talked to neighbors overnight who say they witnessed part of the crime. Witnesses say they heard shots and then saw several suspects leaving the scene in a car. No suspects yet in custody. Voters in Austin have turned down a $20 million school bond issue. Ellis School burned to the ground last year. The bond issue would have financed a two-story school to replace the burned-down building. Well, last night voters defeated the measure by nearly 5,500 votes to 4,500. And if you haven't heard already, the NBC Today Show is in the Twin Cities this morning. Final preparations were being made this morning to make certain Bryant, Gumble, and Jane Pauley can sail through the show without a hitch. So far, so good. You'll be joining them again in just a few moments. The crew is in the area because the Twin Cities were recently selected as two of the most livable cities in the country. Despite our current weather, Sally Patrick will tell us about that in a moment. Don't go away.
April 1987, your better Buickulars were the #1 Buick Group in America. May 1987, they're out to be #1 all over again, with the best selection ever, plus better prices, better trade-in allowances, and better service. Right now, they're dealing like never before on every new Buick in stock, with prices starting as low as $85.22. April was big, and May will be even bigger, because the deals will never be better. See your #1 better Buick dealers, and get on target today.
I have a good friend, Mike. His son, Mike Jr., who we all call Ed. I don't know why. Well, Mike and Ed, doesn't matter what's going on, Saturday is their day for swimming. They have swim day. It's no one's time but their own. Mike will not give up that time with Ed, and Ed may not remember each one of their Saturdays, but there is one memory he will come away with, and that's that he did spend time with his dad, and that's good.
The nation watching the Today Show doesn't realize how welcome the rain really is, Sally Patrick.
After a drought that went on for several months, we're finally getting some rain. We had some a couple days ago. More on the way today, and it's a good kind of soaking rain. That's just what we need. On live Doppler radar, you can see heavier thunderstorms right across Stearns County. Also a few lighter showers in southern Dakota County and down towards Rochester. All of this headed towards the northeast at 25 miles an hour. We may get a break in the rain action occasionally, but showers and thunderstorms will be the rule for today. In fact, also tomorrow as well. Here's our forecast. First of all, today, 75 degrees, showers and thunderstorms. They may be heavy at times. For tonight, 61 the overnight low, very warm with rain showers continuing. And then Thursday, showers, more thunderstorms, even warmer, high around 80 degrees. Friday, showers linger on, 70 degrees. Hopefully by the weekend, the rain will come to an end. Mostly cloudy Saturday, 70 and 75 on Sunday under partly cloudy skies. John?
Thank you, Sally. More of the Today Show from Minneapolis, St. Paul in just a moment. Another update at 8:25. Have a good day.
Pre-arrangement is just as important as your life insurance and will.
Call Mueller Mortuaries for pre-arrangement information without obligation. Mueller, the wiser choice.
There may be a better way to fertilize your garden, but it's awfully hard on the plants. Introducing Green Sweep Liquid Flower and Garden Plant Food.
It's the Electric Fetus 19th anniversary, and we are celebrating with these great new releases. The replacements, Pleased to Meet Me on Sire Records, LP and cassette $6.99, compact disc $12.99. Hooskadoo Warehouse Songs and Stories on Warner Brothers, LP and cassette $8.99, compact disc $15.99. The Wallets, Take It on Twin Tone Records, LP and cassette $6.99. And Soul Asylum, While You Were Out on Twin Tone Records, LP $6.99. Come in now and save the Electric Fetus, 2010 4th Avenue, South Minneapolis.
The walleyes are biting on News 11. Catch me tonight.
We're back in the Twin Cities at 1:30, and we're outside, and the weather's a little bit inclement, so we got a barbecue going on down here. And we're about to turn Jane over because she's almost done, but look at those babies. They're not putting out enough, guys. I got to tell you, it's still a little chilly out here.
They're putting out some flames, I'm here to tell you.
I know that, but if you get burned, don't worry.
Yeah.
We've got people standing by. In this town, we're going to take a look in this half hour.
We have a new host and a new co-host standing by?
Something like that. We're going to take a look in this half hour at some unusual mining that is done. Would you believe here they mine the sewage for gold and silver? Yes, it's a way of getting rid of it. We're going to talk about that.
These are a very special breed of people.
There's a punchline in there somewhere. I guess that was it. What do you got?
Yeah, well, just a few more moments. Boyd Mansell will give us a look at something the Twin Cityans take a great deal of pride and a lot of pleasure in, their lakes. And we'll meet another big fish in these waters, comedian Louie Anderson.
This being a pretty place, we're also going to get some lovely pictures of why it's so livable here. But first, let's move on back to the news desk. John Palmer has check of the weather. John?
Brian, Jane, thanks. Good morning again. In the Persian Gulf this morning, a Navy Board of Inquiry is getting underway on the USS Stark, with officials trying to find out why the ship's radar didn't see 2 Iraqi missiles coming. And as that investigation gets underway, the bodies of most of the sailors killed in the attack have been brought to Bahrain, where this morning they were transported to a plane which is now taking them to West Germany, then on home to this country. 24 of the victims of the ship attack have been identified. 11 others are still unidentified. 2 are missing. 2 sailors who were seriously burned in that attack are being flown to the United States today from West Germany. The 2, Petty Officers James Wheeler of El Paso, Texas, and Lawrence Bearford of Spotsylvania, Virginia, were put on a medical transport plane this morning. Both men are said to be alert and in stable condition. A top Iraqi official said this morning that the fighter pilot who fired at the USS Stark did not receive any signals from the American frigate. And according to the Iraqi foreign minister, the pilot believed he was firing at an Iranian vessel. In New York City, an 11-year-old boy was killed last night when he was attacked by 2 polar bears at a Brooklyn zoo. The boy apparently had wanted to swim in the moat around the bear's enclosure when he was killed and his body partially devoured. Police shot and killed both bears. Officials had feared that 2 other children may also have been killed, but the 2 returned home a short time later. A top Contra leader, Adolfo Calero, is the latest witness to testify at the Iran-Contra hearings today. Calero is expected to outline how the Nicaraguan Contras got their money after Congress had cut off U.S. aid to the Contras. Former President Richard Nixon is in Paris this morning, where he met with French President Mitterrand. The 2 men spoke, among other things, about the ongoing arms talks between the United States and the Soviet Union. The former president is in Paris to be honored by the French Academy of Fine Arts. It's now 33 after the hour. Back to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and a chilly Bryant Gumble.
All right, John, thanks very much. Willard has a check of the weather for us in just a moment. Then we'll check out what that Land O'Lakes means and all those Minnesota license plates. That's to come in a moment for Wednesday morning right after this.
Hey, Dad. Ready for another game?
Time out for Tetley.
Make your next fast break an icy, refreshing glass of Tetley tea.
Time out for tiny little tea leaves
in Tetley tea.
Do you know someone that got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning? Send them an FTD pick-me-up bouquet. It's bright flowers, rainbow coffee mug, and reusable tote bag. We'll put them back in the swing of things.
My father died of a heart attack, so I asked my doctor how to help keep my heart healthy. He recommended a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet, moderate exercise, and Cardi Omega-3 capsules. Why Cardi Omega-3? It's an easy way to get the vital ingredient from fish most diets lack. Many doctors believe it's a natural way to help reduce high cholesterol in your program to lower the risk of heart disease. So I take Cardi Omega-3 every day. I feel great. After all, I've got a lot to live for.
Late one night, when all the families in all the houses all across the land were fast asleep, all of their old family cars were taken away. In their places were left shiny new Honda Accords. And they all drove happily ever after.
Honda. 35 past the hour now. Time for a check of our Wednesday morning weather. Some of it's obvious, but Willard Scott has the rest. Sir.
That this too solid flesh should melt forsooth, forsaith. It's an understatement to say the Guthrie Theater is one of the world's foremost theaters. It is a super understatement to say that Jack Edwards perhaps is the greatest costume designer that ever lived. Does that come close to flattering you?
Well, almost.
You are one of my favorite people. Jack made a Santa Claus suit for me that is second to none a few years ago. We became friends. Jack, you do the work at the Guthrie. You've brought some of your beautiful people this morning and some of your costumes. Can you give us a brief description? This lovely, magnificent, was it Edwardian costume?
Yes. This was last year's production at the Guthrie of Great Expectations. And the one next was also last year of On the Verge.
Absolutely beautiful.
And Gary is wearing the opening production of this year's Misanthrope.
Great wig.
Which opens early in June. And then this is The Importance of Being Earnest from 2 years ago.
With birds in hand and birds on head.
Yes.
The best, Jack, and the best to you. Thank you for coming by at this hour of the morning, and thank you all. You're beautiful people, and the costumes they're Jack Edwards, that's all.
Thank you.
What more can you say? That's it. There's only one. Let's check the act this morning and see what we have in the weather department. If you're interested at all, right here in Minneapolis, good news. We have some showers, but guess what? When I'm on the air, the weatherman, it's outside. It's not raining, right?
It's not raining today.
It's raining inside, but not outside. Look out, though, a slight chance of severe thunderstorms and possible tornado activity. Eastern half of the plains, the Mississippi Valley, and south from Minneapolis down through the western Ohio Valley. Flash flood watches with heavy rain in central and eastern Iowa, also the northern plains and the upper Mississippi. Fog this morning in the Great Lakes, the Ohio and the mid-Atlantic states. Cloudy with snow. What is this? That's a four-letter word. Snow in the mountains of Montana. Windy in the northern Rockies and hot in the Ohio Valley and throughout the southeast. And now, forsooth, here's what's happening in your world this morning.
59 degrees, cloudy skies in the Twin Cities. This afternoon, showers and occasional thunderstorms. Some may be heavy at times. High around 75 degrees.
From St. Paul, Minnesota, capital of the great state of Minnesota, Sarah Nelson in Greenville, South Carolina. Happy birthday. Sarah is 101 years old, makes the best vegetable soup in the world, says make your tongue beat your brains out. It's so good. Now back to across the river to the other town, St. Paul suburb.
Thank you, Willard. They don't call Minnesota the land of 10,000 lakes for nothing. Today, correspondent Boyd Matz joins us this morning to report that every one of those lakes is important to the people of this state. Boyd?
Good morning, Jane. Geography has a lot to do with shaping the personality of a region. Nowhere is that more evident than in Minnesota. Those lakes Jane mentioned and the rivers give this state 19,000 miles of shoreline. So the water dominates the lives of the people. It's where they work, it's where they want to live, it's where they want to play, summer and winter.
Friday afternoon in Minneapolis, and the people are in a hurry. They can't wait to get out of town and get on a lake. They don't have to go far. 95% of Minnesotans live within 20 minutes of recreational waters. It is, after all, according to the state motto, the land of 10,000 lakes. Although by actual count, it's closer to 15,000.
The legendary Paul Bunyan had one good friend, a blue ox that he called Babe, and Babe was so big that when Babe walked around in that swamp land, wherever he left those steps, a lake filled in behind. That's why Minnesota has 15,000 lakes.
It works out to 1 square mile of water for every 15 miles of land in Minnesota. That's enough for every resident to think they should have their own place at the lake to get away to. Many do. There are 81,000 summer lake cabins in the state. Others who don't want to hassle with herding the family out to the country every weekend have the luxury of living in one of the thousands of year-round residences on the city lakes. And then there are a few who've decided they need a house on the water in the city and in the country.
Yes, it's a bit redundant. We bought the cabin at the lake first, and then we bought the nice house on the lake as our city place too, so we have a variety of ways of relating to lakes here.
I'm not sure where it is, but somewhere in the Bible, God said that if you're a Minnesotan, you're entitled to a lake, and that's your payment for surviving the winter, you see. So we all think that it's our God-given right to live on a lake someplace, and you took that away from us, there'd be no reason to stay, I suspect.
We sail every Saturday and every Sunday and every holiday and every Wednesday night. We got a short season, we make the best of it.
Minneapolis, a name that means the city of lakes, and there are more than 100 of them in this metropolitan area. That makes it easy on any summer weekend for people to exercise their water rights. Normally, after the ice melts, people put everything into the water but their bodies. Swimming has to wait until July before the water's warm enough. This year has been an exception. A heat wave has brought the bathing suits out in May.
No other place to be in the United States but here in Lake Minnetonka. And you can quote me on that.
$24,000 for that boat. You could buy a good car and a small house for that.
You can't buy a good car. You can buy a car. If you talk to anyone that's ridden in the boat, everyone at work who's ridden it wants to buy it, and everyone we've taken on it wants to buy it. Not everyone can pay $24,000, but they could pay $289 a month, though.
Those monthly payments must sound good. In Minnesota, there is one registered boat for every 4.5 adults. People enjoy their skiing and sailing. But fishing is what they do most in their boats. There are more licensed fishermen per capita in Minnesota than anywhere in the nation.
The key fish in Minnesota is the walleye, and when somebody says they're going fishing, they're going walleye fishing unless they say otherwise.
Fishing season opened at midnight last Friday. The bait shops were packed.
Well, I'm probably the only one in my family that's going to have a fireball jig with a stinger hook.
Attaboy, Hank!
We'll see ya.
The loon is the state bird, but an outsider might wonder if that refers to the waterfowl or the fishermen, who every year stay up all night to catch the beginning of the season.
Number 4 so far, fairly small. We'll let them go, get bigger. Hi, Mom.
Fishing is not a sport, it's a religion. Certainly on opening day, anyway.
Maybe the opening day excitement is understandable, but they were there again the next day at Lake Bemidji, in the rain. And if you come back in the middle of winter, in the snow, and on the ice, Minnesotans will still be fishing. It seems you can't keep them off the water here, even when it's frozen.
How many lakes do they have? They got more lakes than they have names here. They've got 156 long lakes, 7 little long lakes, 122 rice lakes. It goes on, they're doubling up. So if somebody says, meet me at Long Lake for a picnic, you'll never know where they meet.
Thank you, Boyd. In a moment, we give new meaning to the phrase, waste not, want not, after these messages.
This year, thousands of people who thought they bought a house paint that would last, and last, and last, will discover what they really got for their money. The wrong paint. Make sure you get the right paint. Durable Glidden Spread House Paint. A paint that really lasts. On sale now for a low price that won't. Glidden, your paint should be this good.
Your doctor has a new treatment that may help prevent a heart attack. It's a regimen that includes exercise, the right foods, and aspirin. Studies with people who have had a heart attack or unstable angina show aspirin helped reduce their risk of a second heart attack and saved lives. Ask your doctor how aspirin can help you. This message brought to you by Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
In the morning, in the evening, ain't we got fun? You know, when you take a Carnival cruise, all your shipboard fun is included in the price. All your nighttime entertainment's included. All your food's included, too. Plus, fantastic tropical ports of call. And you know what all this costs? A lot less than you think. Even your airfare's included. Take a 3, 4, or 7-day cruise on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
Here in the Twin Cities, the natives take pride in how clean their place is. The air is clean, the water is clean. In fact, Minnesota was the first state to pass an acid rain law. Now they have found a way to mine their sewage for gold and silver, creating their own brand of alchemy. The Mississippi River actually begins about 200 miles north of downtown Minneapolis. By the time the river flows between the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, it has become just like any other industrial highway, home to tons of high-tech waste. Now, this waste, along with the sewage from more than 100 communities in and around metropolitan Minneapolis, is fed here. Locally, it's called the Pig's Eye. Officially, it is called the Metropolitan Waste Treatment Plant. Now, 10 million gallons of dirty water flow into that plant every hour. First, it is strained, then it is processed into 200 tons of sludge a day. But even after the sludge is burned, they are still stuck with 55 tons of ash every single day, enough to fill several lagoons the size of football fields. Is it a waste? Not really. Now it's hot stuff. Now that the University of Minnesota and a private corporation have found a way to mine that ash for gold and silver and other precious metals. Joining us here in downtown Minneapolis this morning is Louie Barcher. He is the plant manager of the waste treatment plant. Where'd you get this idea to mine this for gold and silver?
Well, I can't say that it was my idea or anyone in particular's idea. It was a joint effort. What we were faced with, our first mission is to get clean water at the Metro plant. But what we end up with in the process of doing that is a sludge that we've learned now how to use as fuel. We make steam with that sludge. So we end up with this huge quantity of ash. And in this case, we didn't know what to do with it or where to put it. So we examined a whole lot of possibilities. But literally, we went to the public sector and asked them, what would you like to do with it? What do you think we should do?
And back came this idea of mining
Yes.
it. How much gold and silver can there be in that? I mean, Jane made the joke earlier, this must be a special breed of people, but I mean, where's it coming from?
No, we know it's in there. It's, you know, the standard jokes about Aunt Lucy dropping her ring in the garbage disposal, or Grandpa dropping his bridge work in the toilet. That happens. That actually happens, but most of it comes from the high-tech areas. Most of it comes from the computer businesses in the Twin City area, where they do printed circuit work and then end up washing those printed circuit cards. Everything that goes down the drain comes to the sewage plant.
So how much do you wind up with? I mean, can you give me numbers per ton or per 100 ton, what you wind up with in precious metals?
What we've done, we've had this ash. This is the product we're talking about.
This is the stuff before you ship it out to be mined.
That's right. This is the ash as it comes out of the incinerators after we've made steam from it. We've had this tested by independent labs. They tell us that there's as much as 0.4 of an ounce of gold per ton in this, and they also tell us that there may be as much as 4 ounces of silver per ton. So what that means is we know it's there.
So you're not turning a profit on this venture then? I mean, this is not necessarily a profit-making venture so much as it is an economical way of disposing of your ash?
I think I'd phrase it that we are turning a profit.
You are?
The way I look at it, what we do with this product is going to cost the local users money. The best estimate for shipping this ash material to a landfill or whatever is about $35 a ton. The deal we made with private industry is for $30.45.
So when you say you're turning a profit, you mean you're losing less on disposing?
I'm saying that, but I'm also saying that we get a cut of the profits. What happens, the reason I'm so excited about this is we get a cut of the profits. We get 1/3 of the net profits from the gold and silver, but most importantly to people like me who are in the environment business, is after they get done mining this stuff, this is what it turns into be. This is a lightweight aggregate. What we're talking about here is a total ultimate disposal plant.
Now this can be used in what? Concrete and asphalt?
Exactly.
Let me just extend it out a little bit so that people can see.
You can throw this, this is like a rock material. So what we're so pleased...
And there aren't too many contaminants in this to disqualify it?
There shouldn't be any. You got to remember that this material, this sludge that we have used as fuel already, has been exposed to about 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we're looking at here is an inert material that, as you can tell, is very light.
Can other cities do what you're doing?
I'm convinced that other cities are going to be very interested in what we're doing. The standard joke in sewage is, if you don't like the river, move upstream. Well, here in Minnesota, we're about as far upstream as we can be.
And now you've told these people that they are literally walking gold mines.
Well,
thanks very much.
You bet.
Louie, I appreciate it. We're going to come back in just a moment. Louie Anderson, after a station break.
Super.
Hi, I'm Dave Letterman. Join me this week from Las Vegas. It's beautiful this time of year, isn't it? Sure is. It's quite nice. It reminds me a little like Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, so join us.
Announcing 3 reasons to see your Ford dealer now. Reason 1, money. Now save up to $2,397 on full-sized Ford pickups. Reason 2, money. Now save over $1,800 on Rangers. Over $1,500 on Tempos with a special value option package. Reason 3, money. Now save up to $1,400 on Ford Crown Victoria wagons. So hurry to your Northland Ford dealer. The reasons are obvious. Money, money, money.
We the People, tonight on News 11.
Who said growing up in a livable town is no fun? Comedian Louie Anderson found it very funny. Recently, Louie returned here to his hometown and taped a show which will be aired this summer on Showtime. The show was taped at the Tyrone Guthrie Theater, where they normally do things like Shakespeare.
Growing up now is harder because people have to worry about things. Kids especially, we didn't really worry about that bomb hitting. Like now kids have to think, well, should I go to school? Because you could say to your parents, hey, that bomb's supposed to hit today. I'd like to be home at least. So I could hit you just before it hits. Let's face it, the only people prepared for the bomb are the punk rockers. They look like we're going to. They're great. I love the punk rockers. Don't be hard on them, because eventually they're going to have children. And those kids will find those pictures. Then if they have any little brothers named Tommy, this is what your real parents look like.
Louie Anderson, you get home a lot?
I come home a lot.
Yeah.
I just flew in.
Yeah. I love it how people from Minneapolis, St. Paul, they'd like to say, we don't have any accent.
No,
Here.
sure, yeah. No, not at all.
They do. You grew up in a big family.
11 kids.
Is that big?
That's big for my standards.
Yeah. Was it a big,
Some
happy
starved.
family?
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't always happy. I mean, we had a lot of problems in my family, and I think sometimes my humor grew out of that. Like my father was an alcoholic, so that he was kind of mean sometimes, and my mom, to cope with that, would kind of like leave the planet. And so I think there was a little stress sometimes.
Like
but
what kind
we
of
always
humor
found
could
a
grow
lot
out of that?
Well, like my mom saying, Mom, can we get a cat? Oh no, they lick the butter. And not arguing with that. Just going, yeah, maybe she's right.
What was it like coming back at the Tyrone Guthrie III? I was telling you, I was in Minneapolis when I was a teenager, and I saw Twelfth Night. I saw Shakespeare.
12th night, one more, we would have had 12 kids. So it was real exciting. In fact, I really wanted to film that at the Guthrie because Minnesota audiences really made me grow as a comic because they demanded, you know, good jokes and clean material and premises that worked. So I wanted to film it here, you know, because I worked on that material about 8 years, and I wanted to be able to, you know, have them share in that filming. And
They're not an easy audience, a Minnesota crowd.
no.
They're not.
Haven't you found that?
Yes, I found except for these. We came indoors, and there are some of you faint of heart who aren't outdoors, and aren't we glad?
I think they're not an easy audience because I think that Minnesota is that famous thing, the good life. And I think that people really want things at a high standard. You know, our medical here and our social systems and the way we take care of people and our beautiful cities.
So what's to poke fun of people who have it all?
Lutefisk. And anybody who can survive a 40 below wind chill.
Yeah, you know, you are the man one has to ask. How many answers do you have to this question? How cold was it?
I like when they said, is it cold enough for you? No, I like it to be 100 below. And people love their jumper cables here. That's a big thing. They'll show them to you. Look at these. Look at the teeth on them. I'm thinking about taking these hunting with me next year.
What's the story? We've got did I say lutefisk?
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 I don't know. I never tried it.
We've got a spot on it later on. You might
You'll
share
have a spot on you if you eat it.
Well, Louie Anderson, we'll have to leave it at that unless you have any final thoughts.
One more thing. I want to make you an official. Where is it? Where's the jacket?
Where's the jacket?
An official twins. Bring it over.
There it is. Just throw that thing. Throw that thing.
She's going to be an official. The twins are going to win the series this year. We're hoping the twins will win the series.
My twins?
Well, we hope your twins. They've already won. They have you.
I can't get it off.
But the Minnesota Twins and Jane and I will be playing this year. The
M
Minnesota
for
Twins.
Mom. Thanks, Louie.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'll be back after this.
Hey, you know, people know me as kind of a hot dog. But let's be honest, I'm no Ballpark Frank. Ballpark Franks plump when you cook them. Made with only lean, fresh cuts of meat, with no sugar or fillers. And they cook up plump and delicious every time. It takes a great hot dog to know a great hot dog. So, pick up a package of Ballpark Franks or Ballpark Beef Franks. I've got mine. Ballpark Franks. They plump when you cook them.
At Kmart, we've got a sale so sunny, you can put together any tops and shorts, 2 for just $9. ice cream colors, and untamed prints. Men's or women's, tops or shorts. So come on, let loose, because this is a sale where any two go together for just $9.
No, Sally, wait up! Wait up!
Just do it by Saturday. Kmart, America's favorite store.
That'll do it. Who wants grapefruit juice?
I'll pass.
It's good for you.
I know, but...
Lots of vitamin C?
Yeah, but...
But the taste? Here, try this. Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. It's tangy, smoother, sweeter.
This is grapefruit juice?
It's Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail.
It's not bitter.
And it's not just good for you, it's good. Ocean Spray good.
A woman can learn a lot just by watching other women. A lot of ways to use Johnson's baby oil. How to smooth it on your legs for easier shaving. Or on wet skin to soften a shoulder. Or on your eyes. So where will you use Johnson's baby oil?
Everywhere I want to feel beautiful.
Johnson's baby oil. All your beauty needs in one bottle from Johnson & Johnson.
Heading towards the close of a first hour, we're back outside the Hennepin County Government Center. Do you know who Father Hennepin was, by the way?
You know, I didn't read that. I did all my homework except for that, Bryant.
See, there I was. I wasn't in the jacuzzi. I was reading
watching
about
the
it.
basketball game.
Well, of course I was. And by the way, you know, since you got a Twins jacket, I should tell you last night that Corey Snyder ruined your evening then. Right? Isn't that right? Corey Snyder of the Cleveland Indians hit a 2-run homer off Mark Portugal in the 9th inning, I think.
He didn't ruin my evening.
End of the ball
You
game,
ruined my
4-3,
morning.
right? Is Portugal any good, guys? No? All these people are saying no. But what about Jeff Reardon? No, I mean, I read the other day, they've lit Reardon up for what, 10 runs in the last 4 2/3 innings? Something like that. I thought he was the answer to your problems. I thought he saved you from Ron Davis. You want Ron Davis back? No! See there, I mean, you got to learn this stuff if you're going to be a Twins fan.
I'm sorry. I'll take notes.
That's all right. Are you comfortable now? Are you
I am perfectly comfortable.
Yeah? Ready to head on?
Perfectly comfortable.
Okay, we still got an hour to go from Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're going to get to that in just a moment. We've still got to talk about some music because Prince has started a whole new revolution here in the music world. And we're going to also take a look at a new wave of immigrants coming to the Twin Cities. We'll do that after a station.
In the next 3 months, Molly Dodd will fall in love 5 times, make a grown man cry, and teach an eager piano student. The Days and Nights of Molly Dodd, an uncommon comedy.
Cacciatore, a la King, Tetrazzini, Amandine, Kiev. Classic meals, the lighter, leaner, more convenient dishes we're eating today, all made with white meat. But the white meat these classics are made with isn't chicken or fish. It's pork. Pork, the other white meat.
Out of more than 4,000 physicians in the Twin Cities, how do you pick just one? Call 874-4444 for Medformation.
Song sung blue, everybody knows one.
This is FM 94, WAYL.
Playing your favorite songs of yesterday and today in a nice, relaxing way. WAYL FM 94, where the listening is always easy.
Dennis Feldgen has moved up to 11.
Back now at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, the 20th of May, and yes, we are in the Twin Cities.
Who can take another day? Summer will make it all seem worthwhile. And sugar, you should know it. Each glance of love, the movement you show it. Others are, don't need to waste it. You can understand why don't you take it? You're gonna make it
Fans of the old Mary Tyler Moore Show will recognize that music. My pal here was one of the foremost fans, right?
I was home on Saturday night a good deal, yes.
I know, and you happen to watch. And for a lot of folks, that kind of music, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, put the Twin Cities on the map. Well, that kind of music is also putting the group you just heard, Husker Du, on the map. We're going to be hearing from them a little bit later in this half hour as we continue our tour through Minneapolis. Okay?
And we'll continue our look at the old and the new. For the old, we have the Scandinavian tradition of lutefisk, as Louie Anderson it is a delicacy, they say, that smells even older than it is. And then for the new, that rapidly growing influence is Bryant and Husker Du has given us a sample of the Minneapolis Sound and Music. And for theater, you could go to a different play in this city every night of the year.
And also, you noted the Scandinavian immigrants that settled this area. There's a new wave of immigrants coming around the Twin Cities in the 80s. They are from Laos. We'll take a look at the problems they're having adjusting to life here, some of the problems they are having. Let's move on to the news desk now. John Palmer's got the latest from Studio 3B in New York. John?
Brian, Jane, thanks. Good morning again. The Navy's official investigation into the Iraqi missile attack on the USS Stark began this morning in Bahrain as the bodies of most of the victims began the long journey home. An Air Force transport plane is flying the bodies of 35 of the dead crewmen to West Germany and then on home to the United States. In another development, Iraq's foreign minister says the Iraqi pilot who fired on the Stark thought he was attacking the Iranian ship, or an Iranian ship. The pilot denies that he received any signals from the Stark identifying it as an American ship. President Reagan says the United States has vital interests in the Persian Gulf and will not be driven from the region. But as Pentagon correspondent Jim Mikolashevsky reports, many in Washington feel there is the probability of more attacks on U.S. ships.
As the Navy recovers from the devastating sneak attack on the Stark, the U.S. military is preparing to become even more deeply entangled in the Persian Gulf and is girding itself for more possible attacks. The U.S. Navy will soon begin escorting 11 Kuwaiti oil tankers. Kuwait will sail the tankers under an American flag. That way, the ships will receive Navy escorts, even through the war zone in the far north end of the Gulf, normally skirted by U.S. warships. That has some members of Congress up in arms.
Not being able to defend a single ship of our own, we are engaging ourselves in the responsibility to ensure the safety of Kuwaiti ships.
The U.S. has pledged to keep the sea lanes open to oil shipping, to protect oil supplies to Europe and Japan.
Why is American treasure and U.S. blood being spent to safeguard these oil lifelines to Japan and to Europe?
If we're going to exist in the world and keep our freedom, that our people will have to go in harm's way from time to time.
And for now, that means the Persian Gulf. Officials here anticipate other U.S. warships will come under attack once those oil tanker escorts begin. Jim Mikolashevsky, NBC News, the Pentagon.
In other news, Contra leader Adolfo Calero will testify today as a special congressional committee continues its hearings into the Iran-Contra affair. He's expected to testify that the Contras accepted money from foreign donors while the U.S. aid was prohibited by the Congress. Calero says the Contras could not have survived without it. Calero follows 2 days of testimony by Robert Owen, an associate of former NSC aide Oliver North. Owen told of transferring thousands of dollars in traveler's checks to Contra leaders and disclosed that he received an unusual wedding gift from North.
He did provide me $1,000 in traveler's checks, and I said I don't feel comfortable taking this, but he said no, please use it as you see fit.
Voters in Denver have rejected a controversial proposal that would have guaranteed shelter for the city's homeless. The proposal was supported by a number of civic and religious organizations, but opposed by the two leading candidates in the race for mayor. Roger O'Neill has more now from Denver.
It may have been the right thing to do, and pre-election polls said 66% of the voters were in favor of guaranteeing shelter to the homeless.
Let's shelter the homeless, all right?
But behind the curtains of the voting booth, 62% of the voters said no to paying for it. In a city where many are worried about their own futures, the homeless are not front-page news. They can also sleep outside now without fear of the weather. The proposal, dubbed the Hauser of Last Resort, would have required the city to provide shelter if and when other private shelters were full, which is often the case during winter months. Voters apparently agreed with Denver's two major mayoral candidates who said the proposal was too costly, could attract even more homeless here and could expose the city to lawsuits from persons denied shelter.
They're going to find out we're doing it, and they're all going to move here.
I'm very worried that the city will be sued.
That sort of thing should be left up to the charitable organizations.
Despite increasing evidence that the homeless are no longer just alcoholics and bums, but women and children, the new unemployed, and mentally impaired people, supporters failed to convince voters here the homeless need more help. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Denver.
Federico Pena, Denver's first Hispanic mayor, has been forced into a runoff. He finished second to Republican challenger Don Bain in Tuesday's 8-candidate primary. It's now moving up on 7 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. Back to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Bryant.
All right, John, seems a good time to note that we'll be in Denver tomorrow as we continue our 5-city tour. It's Denver tomorrow and then Albuquerque on Friday. If you're wondering what this is, it's a heater, and yes, I'm glad it's there, no matter how unsightly it may be. Let's take a check of the weather once more out to Willard Sky.
It's a beautiful rain today here in the great Twin Cities area because they need rain. They haven't had any rain for, I guess, at least drought conditions have almost existed for the last couple of months. I want you to meet a friend of mine. This is Mike Sonneborg. Good morning.
Good morning.
And you're with the Minnesota...
Yeah, I'm here representing the Minnesota Orchestra.
And you brought me something to eat.
Apple strudel.
And that's for your concert season. When's it open?
The Summerfest opens July 15th.
The best in the business, and you are a good Norwegian.
Yeah, Swedish.
Swedish.
And Finnish.
And Finnish. You're finished now. Thank you.
I'm finished now.
Say good night, Gracie.
Good night.
Gracie. Okay. They had a contest, right, Paul?
Right, the Maxwell House Cities Made Our Way contest.
Paul Gericke.
Right, here in the Twin Cities.
And you won. Now, Maxwell House did this in 18 different cities.
Right.
A song that was supposed to be representative of the city.
Right.
You won the contest.
Right.
And so I'll shut up and let you sing about the Twin Cities, which is called the...
Cities Made Our Way. We like the Twin Cities, right?
One
here.
and a two and a... Here is Paul Gericke.
There's a place where it's cool and it's hot. Summer or winter, there's plenty to do. Take a walk around the lakes or ski at the zoo. You can take in a plane or go to First Avenue. We like the Twin Cities, the cities that are made our way. Minneapolis and St. Paul, the cities that are made our way. Twin Cities, where it's cool and it's hot.
Hey, bravo!
Over here, Willard.
Bravo!
I got something to present you for Maxwell House Coffee.
Thank you.
Honorary gold record for you.
Well, yeah, I want one of yours because you're dynamite. Paul Gericke,
Thanks, Willard.
winner of the Cities Award here and singing a song about Minneapolis and St. Paul, and you're dynamite.
Thanks.
Thank
It
you.
was a lot of fun.
Keep the microphone, I'll keep the flag. Let's check the weather act this morning and see what we have. As far as we're concerned, there's only a few trouble spots really, but there's actually only a few places where you can see full sun all day. Let's hit those first. Full sun in northern New England, the Pacific Northwest, and all of Florida. However, slight chance of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes in the eastern half of the plains, Mississippi Valley, and south from Minneapolis throughout the western Ohio Valley. Be on the alert. Could see some severe weather as the day wears on. Iowa, central and southern, and look out for some severe flash flooding possible. Heavy rains today, 2 to 4 inches. Fog in the western Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Mid-Atlantic. Some snow in the western mountains of Montana. Windy in the northern Rockies Great Basin, and the heat continues in the Ohio Valley and the southeast. And now, here's what's happening in your world this morning.
59 degrees, cloudy skies in the Twin Cities. This afternoon, showers and occasional thunderstorms. Some may be heavy at times. High around 75 degrees.
We have Mabel Carpenter of Richardson. Mabel Carpenter Richardson of Glendale, Ohio.
Birthday to you.
She's 107.
Birthday to you.
Fantastic.
Happy birthday, dear Mabel.
They're just going to go to lunch with me. I said I'd get them on
Happy
television.
Birthday to
now,
you.
here's Jane back.
Thank you, Willard. Minneapolis and St. Paul aren't the only two cities in this area in fierce competition with each other. Today, correspondent Mike Leonard has found another example.
Glenwood, Minnesota, and Madison, Minnesota are just like hundreds of other small Scandinavian-influenced towns in this state.
Oh, yeah?
Except that there seems to be something fishy going on. Something slightly off-center, something slightly out of character. Remember,
Norwegians
are supposed to be quiet folk.
Certainly not the kind of people who brag.
No.
Certainly not the kind of people who mutter
Oofta.
lightly. Oofta?
Oofta. 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 When something goes wrong, it's oofta.
And something certainly has gone wrong here. something that has caused this clean-living, peaceful, family-oriented populace to get all steamed up. That something is...
lutefisk.
Lutefisk.
Lutefisk?
Lutefisk.
Lutefisk?
Lutefisk.
You haven't heard of lutefisk?
The Norwegian codfish that's dried, then luted or soaked in lye for 20 days to become...
lutefisk.
Lutefisk?
Whatever. It's a delicacy, and it's seasonal.
Once a year.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, that's enough.
It's like a fine wine. It grows on you.
Make you feel like a Norwegian.
And that's where the oofta comes in. Madison, Minnesota has gone to great commercial lengths based on its per capita consumption of this stuff to promote its town as
Madison, Minnesota, lutefisk capital, USA.
Funny, guess what Glenwood also claims to be?
The lutefisk capital.
Well, Madison?
Anything comes out good. Somebody else tries to imitate it or beat it or, you know.
Well, Glenwood?
They hold title to nothing over there.
Madison says it eats more. Glenwood says it produces more.
Can they prove that?
Yeah. Just stick your nose in that building and take a whiff.
Ferocious.
Wear same pair of socks for a month, and that's what lutefisk smells like.
And that's coming from the people who proudly make the stuff. Their motto,
if it don't stink, it ain't so,
refers to the fish in its dried state. Getting rid of the smell, however, is simple. Just prepare it for consumption.
You can bake it, you can boil it.
You can cook it in a dishwasher. Just run a normal cycle. Dishwasher.
Madison?
Glenwood.
What's going on here? A parade down the streets of Glenwood to honor a fish? And why did the people of Madison decide to show up, crashing Glenwood's party with their souped-up cod on wheels?
See, we have a fish with no lake, but they have a lake with no fish.
If you got time to go fishing, I'll show you some fish.
Why all the arguing?
No, Glenwood isn't even a threat, really.
I don't think they got a leg to stand on.
Isn't it silly?
It's all having fun, and you couldn't go into a big city and do what we did today and get away with it. You'd be arrested.
So that is the point that the people of Glenwood and the people of Madison are trying to make.
Well, we think small-town America is alive and kicking.
That life in rural Minnesota isn't as boring as some people might think.
Nothing is boring to me.
You bet.
Not the work, not the play, and especially not the people. People who relish this distinct taste of small-town life.
Wow, beautiful.
For today, Mike Leonard, NBC News, Glenwood, and Madison, Minnesota.
If you thought you were going to see Mike Leonard lifting some of that to his lips, let it be known that Mike Leonard is the kind of person who thinks that an English muffin is ethnic food. I have some in front of me, however. Unfortunately, I am upwind from it. So I cannot testify that it smells as wonderful as they say. Fortunately, or unfortunately too, the silverware is facing the wrong direction. Otherwise, I too might try some. How many here have actually tried this? A few brave, hardy souls, but a real minority. You know what I would like to do? I would like to challenge the people of Sydney, Australia, and their witchetty grubs to try some of your lutefisk. And we'll see who is man enough to try it. We'll be back in a moment from Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is Today on NBC.
Come to White Bear Quality Imports. We've got the best selection of used cars in the Twin Cities. We're here to free you from high prices. Take, for instance, this 87 Yugo, $99 a month with nothing down. That's right, nothing down. Anybody can afford that. So come to White Bear Quality Imports. They're the only one I trust.
White Bear Quality Imports, 482-8200. Free gas grill, barbecue, or lawnmower with every purchase.
America? You look like you need a holiday. A fair dinkum holiday. In the land of wonder. The land down under. Now, there's a few things I gotta warn you about. Firstly, you're gonna get wet. Because the place is surrounded by water. Oh, and you're gonna have to learn to say good day. Of course, every day's a good day in Australia.
G'day, Paul.
G'day, love. Of course, you'll have to get used to some of the local customs, like getting a suntan at the restaurant, playing football without a helmet, and calling everyone mate. Thanks, mate.
She's right, mate.
Apart from that, no worries. You'll have the time of your life in Australia. Of course, we talk the same language. Although you lot do have a funny accent. Oh, before you rush out to book your Aussie holiday, call this toll-free number for your free Aussie holiday book. Come on, come and say g'day. I'll slip an extra shrimp on the barbie for you.
Come and say g'day. You know what you'd like to find.
Continental, may I help you?
Pretty checked in, Mr. Walsh?
How it should be. Continental Airlines offers superb international service to Australia with more flights down under than any other U.S. airline. Fly out and back to Sydney or Melbourne for $10.96, just $5.48 each way.
Continental, up where you belong.
After 8 this morning, we want to put a spotlight on the Hmongs. They are refugees struggling for a new life here in the Twin Cities. And most refugees face an uphill path to economic independence. For Hmong refugees, though, the road has been especially steep. These mountain people came here from Laos with basically no formal education or transferable job skills. But there is at least one story with hope. It's Sunday in St. Paul, and the century-old church of St. Mary's is sparkling. Its stained glass windows have been restored to their original beauty thanks to the hard work of some special members of the congregation, like Guthrie. Ga, his family and friends have emigrated here from Laos through the sponsorship of many St. Paul churches. Like most of these refugees, he was a farmer in the hills of Laos. Then the war came, and he was recruited to fight. Today, he and his family are far from the horror of that war, far from the deprivation of the refugee camps. But Guthrie and the other Hmong refugees now face another kind of struggle to find work in this country. Still, Ga is one of the lucky ones, though. He is learning a trade. Glass artist Michael Pia raised money to help teach him and 6 other unemployed Hmong how to restore stained glass windows and eventually go into business for themselves.
Many times the biggest problem with them as workers was holding them back. They love to work. They have a much stronger work ethic than anyone I've encountered in this country. They expect more out of life than just being a janitor or washing dishes. They want to have something meaningful, something they can be proud of.
Jane Kretzman is well acquainted with the problems of the Hmong. She is refugee coordinator for the state of Minnesota, and thank you for being with us. This is the second largest Hmong center in the United States. Why have they settled in the Twin Cities?
Well, we believe first and foremost that we share a common value with the Hmong here in Minnesota, and that's a value for education. The first Hmong leadership that was resettled here found that the environment for learning, which is what they saw as their path to advancement, was consistent with their own.
How many people are we talking about?
We estimate between 12 and 13,000 people who are Hmong live here today.
And of that number, how many right now are on public assistance?
We, again, are saying around 65%. Now, that includes women, children, and of course, the fathers.
Let me introduce a Hmong success story. Chris Tao is a success story. He was raised in the mountains of Laos. He bribed his way out of there when the communists gained control. Now, after only 10 years here, he has become the first of his people in this country to make it through law school and is now a practicing attorney in St. Paul.
Hello.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Why did you want to be an attorney?
Well, I think I have seen my people struggle to settle here in this country, and they encounter a lot of problems. And I feel that that is one area in which I can help them assimilate into this society.
What are the primary problems as you see them?
I think there are 2 primary problems. One is the struggle to learn the language, and secondly, the struggle to earn money to become self-sufficiency. And in order to do that, you need transferable skills and also help from the people you are living with in order to give you those.
Can any of your people who are willing to apply themselves make it a success, or is that just going to be too impossible for some of them?
I think for the 10 years we have been here in this country, we have seen certain improvements, particularly in the educational areas, and I think the hope is not too dim for our people.
Financial assimilation is one thing, but what about socially? Have the Hmongs had problems in this area?
Well, I would say that we face both an intergenerational issue. The younger people are assimilating quite rapidly, in fact, too fast for their parents. And I think in that sense we have problems. The older generation, there will be some who will never assimilate. And our goal really is to try to help the Hmong maintain their culture at the same time that they're integrating into our own.
Does that seem a realistic goal to you, Christophe?
I think it is a realistic goal. For those older people, the difficulty is learning the language. And if you do not speak the language or read and write English, it is difficult for you to assimilate.
It's true anywhere, I would guess. Chris Tao and Shane Kretzman, thank you both. Thanks very much for being with us. Congratulations again. We're going to come back in just a moment with more ahead from the Twin Cities right after a break. This is Today on NBC.
Dan Martin and his family live in a pretty tough neighborhood. So when it came to making their home the pride of the neighborhood, they chose Pittsburgh paint. They wanted Pittsburgh paint for its true, even color, its creamy texture. But when it's all said and done, the Martins chose a paint they knew would last, giving them years of durable beauty and protection. You see, the Martins really do live in a pretty tough neighborhood.
Superstars Dustin and Warren are as unalike as Mutt and Jeff, yet twice as friendly. And this week's People tells how they teamed up on their troubled new movie, Ishtar. People celebrates people, like Super Dad Dustin and Beatty and his ladies. Then how Lee Hart is coping as Gary's dream dies. Plus the latest famous couple, Tom Cruise and his new wife, Mimi Rogers, and so much more. Week after week, People celebrates people. This week, Beatty and Hoffman, an unexpected friendship.
It's the Electric Fetus 19th anniversary, and we are celebrating with these great new releases. The replacements, Pleased to Meet Me on Sire Records, LP and cassette $6.99, compact disc $12.99. Hooskadoo, Warehouse Songs and Stories on Warner Brothers, LP and cassette $8.99, compact disc $15.99. The Wallets, Take It on Twin Tone Records, LP and cassette $6.99. And Soul Asylum, While You Were Out on Twin Tone Records, LP $6.99. Come in now and save the Electric Fetus, 2010 4th Avenue, South Minneapolis.
True Value Hardware, it's more than a name.
This sturdy plastic Green Thumb 2-gallon watering can has a removable nozzle for use indoors and out. In May, it's just $2.77 less a $2 mail-in rebate, making your final cost only 77 cents. Look for the Hardware Value of the Month banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Even as we're a little bit uncomfortable with this weather, let's show you some dramatic footage shot not far from here by Max Mesmer of our local station here, Channel 11, shot last July, a tornado as it happened. Thank God we do consider ourselves lucky on this day. We're back in a moment. Station break.
Friday, you're invited to join host Dick Van Dyke, Kate Nally's Jane Curtin, and Amen Sherman Hemsley in a 24-carat birthday bash for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
It's the Sunshine Sale at Target. Men's and women's pocket tees are just $3.99 each. Just $3.99 for boys and girls sizes, too. Sunshine! Younger boys, girls, and toddlers' pocket tees are also on sale. Yes, this week you'll find the best bargains under the sun during the Sunshine Sale at Target.
You've noticed it before. Something missing in your margarine. Taste. Flavor. Richness. Now Land O'Lakes has found what you've been missing. The taste of sweet cream. A new Land O'Lakes spread with sweet cream. Just enough sweet cream to make it sweet. Creamy. Buttery. Yet it has almost no cholesterol. New Land O'Lakes spread with sweet cream. The taste you've been missing.
The walleyes are biting on News 11. Catch me tonight.
And now, News 11 with Amy Powell.
Good morning. The time is 8:25. Sally Patrick will have the forecast in just a moment. First, the news. One person is dead this morning after a shooting in South Minneapolis. Police found the body shortly after 1:30 this morning in the backyard of 3821 Portland Avenue South. Police say the victim was fatally wounded by a shotgun or rifle. Investigators talked to neighbors overnight who say they witnessed part of the crime. Witnesses say they heard shots and then saw several suspects leaving the scene in a car. No suspects are in custody this morning. Voters in Austin have turned down a $20 million school bond issue. Ellis School burned to the ground last year. The bond issue would have financed a two-story school to replace the building. Last night, voters defeated the measure by nearly 5,500 votes to 4,100. And if you haven't already heard, the NBC Today Show is in the Twin Cities this morning. Final preparations were being made this morning to make sure Bryant, Gumble, and Jane Pauley could sail through the show without a hitch. The crew is in the area because the Twin Cities were recently selected as two of the most livable cities in the country. And when we come back, we'll have the forecast.
These classic illustrations are brought to you by the only name you need to know in fine German wines, Weber. Great German wines are pronounced Weber. And here's another fine imported wine from Monsieur Henri. For the price of 3 bottles of these fine French wines, you can get 12 bottles of these fine imported varietal wines from Premiat. Premiat, an overwhelming case against French wines.
For a quick, inexpensive meal, you can have this or Shakey's Buffet. They cost about the same, but you get a little bit more at Shakey's. A salad bar loaded with garden fresh vegetables, a variety of Shakey's delicious pizza, golden fried chicken and deep fried potatoes, piping hot pasta, and more. Well, that's the long and the short of it.
Sally Patrick says we're in for some rainy days. Sally?
Amy, lots of clouds on the satellite picture and lots of showers and thunderstorms all over the Central Plains this morning. Especially hard hit southern sections of Wisconsin and also northern Illinois. Some hail has been reported in these thunderstorms. Lots of moisture coming northward from the Gulf today will produce showers and thunderstorms all day throughout the Central Plains. They will become severe just to our south, Nebraska, all the way southward into Texas. The risk of severe weather is quite high today. Here's our forecast for the Twin Cities. We'll have mostly cloudy skies, showers and thunderstorms, high around 75 degrees, winds from the southeast. Rain tonight and very warm, 61 the overnight low. Tomorrow, more showers and heavy thunderstorms, high temperature of 80 degrees. Showers linger through Friday, 70 degrees. Saturday, mostly cloudy, 70. And Sunday, partly cloudy, high temperature up around 75 degrees. Right now, it does look like the rain will come to an end by the weekend. Amy?
Okay, we'll look forward to the weekend, Sally. Thanks a lot. And that's going to do it for us right now. We will have more news later at 5, 6, and 10. Please join us then. Stay dry and have a very good day.
This Memorial Day, you have two choices. You could take a trip where you'll find heavy traffic, screaming kids, crowded lakes, painful sunburn, pouring rain, biting insects, and very small fish. Or you can stay home and shop Best Buy's Memorial Day sale, where you'll find stereos, TVs, appliances, and cameras and save a lot of money. A simple choice. All that fun. Or Best Buy's Memorial Day sale. Which is in store for you this weekend?
Some plain talk about selling cars and helping kids. Freeway Ford South and Brookdale Ford North have teamed up for a car sale, and it's to help the children's hospitals in the Twin Cities. Now you can get a great deal, and with every newer used car or truck we sell, we're donating $50 to the Children's Miracle Network. Our combined inventory offers you the largest selection of new Ford cars and trucks in the Twin Cities. And with factory cashback, huge dealer discounts, and finance rates as low as 3.9%, you get the best deal in town. Now through May 30th at Freeway Ford and Brookdale Ford for the Children's Miracle Network.
I'm Amy Powell.
And I'm John Bachman. Thursday morning on Sunrise, we'll go inside a high school TV operation.
And the inventiveness of some of our forefathers on Sunrise at 6.
We're back now at 8:30 in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, continuing our week-long tour of some of the most livable spots in this country, and certainly the Twin Cities qualify. You know, among the many things my partner and I do not agree on, and there are a few, right?
Just a couple.
Our taste in music tends to vary, particularly as it concerns one of my favorite artists, right?
Well, you didn't need to bring that up here, did you?
Well, that's all right. I am a huge...
We can talk about that tomorrow in Denver.
No. I am a huge Prince fan. And Prince has started a trend in this city and has really kind of put it on the musical map. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in this half hour.
Well, I'm going to talk about theater.
Oh, that's all right.
One thing Minneapolis, St. Paul have in common with New York is theater. You can see a different play here about every night of the week. In fact, there's one play that has been running continuously for 16 years. We'll meet the stars.
We're also going to introduce you to a club known as the 99s. We'll fill you in on what the numbers mean in just a moment. Let's check back at the news desk in New York. John Palmer is holding court. John?
Thanks, Bryant. Good morning again. The bodies of 35 of the crewmen killed in Sunday's missile attack on the USS Stark are being flown to West Germany this morning. 35 caskets, each draped with an American flag, were carried aboard a transport plane in Bahrain. They will be taken to Frankfurt today and later back home to this country. 2 other crewmen are missing and are presumed dead in the attack. 21 others were hurt. 2 of the men most seriously injured left their hospital in West Germany this morning. Petty officers James Wheeler and Lawrence Bearford are being flown to a military hospital in San Antonio, Texas. Both men are in serious but stable condition. Aboard the USS Stark, a formal inquiry into that attack began this morning. Officials want to find out why the ship's defensive systems did not respond to the attack. Iraq's foreign minister said this morning the fighter pilot who fired those missiles at the USS Stark thought he was shooting at an Iranian ship. In other news, Philadelphia voters went to the polls Tuesday in the mayoral primary. Incumbent Mayor Wilson Goode won the Democratic primary. Former Mayor Frank Rizzo won on the Republican side. The two will face each other in November. In Denver, Mayor Federico Pena was forced into a runoff election next month with attorney Don Bain. Polar bears at a New York zoo killed an 11-year-old boy last night who apparently had wanted to go swimming in the moat around the bear's enclosure. When police got there, both bears, after having attacked the boy, were fighting over his body. The 2 bears were killed by police, who found 3 sets of clothing nearby and feared that 2 other children may also have died. But those 2 boys returned home a short time later. Congressional investigators looking into the Iran-Contra affair are continuing their hearings on Capitol Hill, with the top Contra leader testifying today. Adolfo Calero is expected to tell the panel about money the rebels received from other countries during the time that Congress had banned aid by the United States. In South Carolina, the city council in North Myrtle Beach voted last night to honor a well-known TV hostess described by one official as our own hometown girl. New signs will be going up at the city limits reading North Myrtle Beach, home of Vanna White. It's now 33.5 after the hour, and with that we say back to Minneapolis, St. Paul one more time, and Bryant.
All right, John, I know you always wish you were along for the ride, but you haven't talked about that today. We'll go back to St. Paul one more time across the Mississippi. Willard has a check of the weather, and then we'll introduce you to a chapter of the 99s here in the Twin Cities. That's after this.
Give me 15 seconds to talk about Royal Oak Charcoal. It's been around 40 years, comes in a bright red bag, starts fast, burns slow, gives everything you cook a natural outdoor flavor. Royal Oak, now that's a big deal.
Fed up with dishwasher powder all over your dishes? Break away from powders with Liquid Palm Olive Automatic for a clean that's worth celebrating. Try Liquid Palm Olive Automatic. Now a new lemon, too.
My bologna has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My bologna has a second name. It's M-A-Y-E-R. Oh, I love to eat it every day. And if you ask me why, I'll say, 'cause Oscar Mayer has a way with B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
If the name's Oscar Mayer, it's quality meat and no fillers. Just the best that it can be.
You want a bite?
Post-natural bran flakes, Steve Allen, on getting the best out of life.
My best always comes out with a little humor, and sometimes with a sliced banana.
Reach for the best-tasting, highest fiber bran flake. Post. Bran flakes at their best.
Want to see him smile? Don't touch that dial. Make Jell-O no bake pies. Want him begging for more? Then open this door. Make Jell-O no bake pies. They're so easy to make, 'cause there's nothing to bake. A remarkable creation that'll win appreciation. Make Jell-O no bake pies. Don't touch that dial.
At 35 minutes past the hour on this Wednesday morning, time for a final check of the weather. Once more, back over to St. Paul. How you doing, Willard?
Hey, what do you think, Brian? Is it me?
I don't know. That's not bad. I've seen you in worse.
Let me tell you this. You've heard the old expression, you should have your head examined. Well, that's what this, isn't that right? Robert McCoy, tell me, this. You said there's about 40 of these. What do they do?
They measure your head and tell what your personality's like.
Like a phrenology?
It's a phrenology machine.
All right, let me see what, you can tell by, okay, let's.
By the bumps on your
head. All
head.
right, it's electronic, well, I won't get, it's just a little cloudy here today.
No, It's safe. It works on a flashlight battery.
All right, so do I. Let's see what happens then. Are you going to read my personality?
Gonna try.
Okay. It's touching my left temple over there, as we say. And what happens now? It's printed on this machine over here?
It prints it out in a paper tape. It's going to rate your character 1 through 5.
Being
one
what?
One being deficient, 5 being superior.
Okay, well, we'll find.
So now we're going to find out once and for all.
Yeah, whether I'm really. Does it
whether
measure
everything you say you are?
Does it measure my weather abilities?
Well, it will have your perceptiveness.
Okay.
And it has a sense of veneration, whether you have sexual enthusiasm, whether you're a good fellow working with your hands, whether you're gullible or not, those sorts of things.
Kind, noble. Okay. What's happening? Is it done? Okay, we'll do we got to do this, so if we start it, we can't leave it. Where's the machine? Where's the, all right. Okay, if we do today's weather, we've blown the punchline, but that's all right? There you go. Okay, I can't even see anything, gang. You're talking.
All right, this is an antique phrenology machine invented in Minneapolis. We're going to rate your character 1 through 5. 1 is deficient, 5 is superior.
Fantastic.
We use this as an entertainment over at River Place in Minneapolis to read people's heads to find out about their personality. It's actually measuring your head based on the pseudoscience of phrenology and printing out a paper tape. You certainly have a good sense of perceptiveness. You have good insights into things. You could work on your ability to reason a little better, though.
Yeah,
and your ideals are a little low, but you certainly have a lot of sexual enthusiasm.
I'll tell you, 4 out of 5 ain't bad. I'll take that.
That's all about you in 30 seconds.
Thank you. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Thanks a lot, Robert. I know. Thank you. Fantastic. We're accepting offers for lunch. Okay, they're checking today's map, and we do have a little problem here with my head. Didn't say anything about my ability as a weather forecaster, but I think most people know about that. Slight chance of some rain here in Minneapolis this morning. Also severe. Just want to see if you're paying attention. Look out for the possibility of the eastern half of the plains, Mississippi Valley, and south from Minneapolis and St. Paul throughout the Ohio Valley. Be on the alert. Here's what's happening in your world this morning.
59 degrees, cloudy skies in the Twin Cities. This afternoon, showers and occasional thunderstorms. Some may be heavy at times. High around 75 degrees.
I want to wish happy birthday to North St. Paul, Minnesota, one of the great cities in America, 100 years old today. And George Latimer is the mayor of St. Paul. These people are so nice to let you come in here.
They've permitted me in until sundown, Willard.
Run him out of town. They're giving me the sign, as you can see. But
With a brain like that, you ought to be a mayor.
But I am a sex symbol. Hey, now back to, if there's any show left, here's Brian Gumble across the river in the other town.
All right, Willard, thank you. Here in the Twin Cities, there's a unique chapter of a club called the 29s that has found a rather unusual way to help out its home area. One of the volunteers who sets the tone for that club is a pretty unusual lady herself. She is named Clara Johansson. She refuses to act her age. At the age of 72, Clara is an uncommon woman, one who is certainly not content to play the role of a dependent senior citizen. Of course, there's nothing unusual about the way she dotes on her family. In that capacity, she is a vintage portrait of the loving grandmother. And while it's worth noting she's held the same job in a Minneapolis flower shop for 34 years, that is still not Clara's claim to fame. What makes Clara Johansson so remarkable is the way she gets around. That is, her preferred method of transportation. Clara was a latecomer to flying. She was in her 50s, a rational woman with 3 grown children, when she decided it was time for an adventure.
We'd been married 25 years, and we decided, shall we just spend a lot of money, fix our house, and have a party, or shall we do something we really want to do? So we decided to take up flying.
Flying Cloud Tower, Cessna 79 Romeo, ready for takeoff.
Cessna 79 Romeo, Flying Cloud Tower, clear for takeoff.
Clara is part of a long tradition of women aviators. Since 1970, she's been a member of the all-women's flying club that's known as the 99s. Organized back in 1929, the name refers to the original 99 charter members. Their first president was Amelia Earhart, who still inspires women flyers nearly 50 years after she disappeared over the Pacific. These days, Clara and the other 99ers don't just take to the sky for high-altitude diversions. She is one of 40 women from the Minneapolis chapter enrolled in the lifeguard program, volunteers who use their special skills to transport blood for the Red Cross. At donor centers throughout this region, Red Cross workers keep the state's blood supply replenished, and in rural communities, that timing is critical.
Because of the geographic area that we serve, we need to get that blood back to the lab in a certain time to process. The 99s expand our capacity to do that.
Like they had once thought of calling the 99s the butterflies or something. Well, we aren't butterflies. We don't flit from one thing to another. I think it'd be better to say we were honeybees.
For Clara, the lifeguard program represents the best of both worlds, the exhilaration of flight and the spirit of giving. And Clara Johansson has joined us this morning with one of the junior members of the 99s, Deborah Funk. Good morning to both of you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Somebody tell me about this lifeguard program. How extensive is it?
Well, it covers a 5-state area. We go into Iowa, North and South Dakota, Wisconsin, and of course Minnesota.
But for your involvement, how would that get accomplished, getting the blood to some of those regional?
We go to the donor site and pick it up and bring it back into St. Paul, and that's what's needed to be done in a hurry. It has to be done within a time span so they can process it.
How do you determine who does what? I mean, are a certain amount of you on call for X amount of hours?
No, we take our turns. Whoever can fly the particular day.
And where's the support for that come financially? I mean, do you all wind up picking up the bills on this, or is there government support? How does it happen?
Actually, and the Red Cross also reimburses us for part of the expense.
Now, you're new to the 99s, aren't you, Deborah?
I've been a 99 for 4.5 years.
What made you turn to it?
I needed to make a commitment to aviation, and that made the connection for me.
Is it true that you're afraid of heights, nonetheless?
Yes.
Which seems a strange thing for a flyer. Yeah. Clara, I mean, you're a remarkable woman. As I noted, you're 72 years old and still flying. Is it any more difficult for you to fly now than it was, what, 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Oh, no, I think it's a lot easier.
Why?
I have more hours, more experience. I'm more aware of what can happen or doesn't happen. I feel I'm a better pilot now than I was.
Can you see yourself doing this when you're Clara's age? I figured out last night that would be the year 2025.
Close.
I have one final note. In these days when barriers to all men's clubs seem to be coming down, when do the 99s take in their first male member? How do you get away with this?
We haven't had the problem, but we let the men associate with us or affiliate.
Oh, that's nice of you.
As a 49.5, our better hats.
They do support us.
We're going to argue in just a little bit because I also understand that you believe that women make better pilots than men, right?
They have a lighter touch.
Clara and Deborah, thanks very much. I appreciate you being with us. We're going to come back in just a moment. Jane's going to check out the arts right after this.
If you got an itch, scratch it.
It's the JCPenney 85th birthday sale, and our prices are just the icing on the cake. Like 25 to 50% off all junior, misses, and women's swimwear. And unmatched savings on the JCPenney bath size towel, 2 for only $9. It's our lowest nationally advertised price this year. The JCPenney 85th birthday sale. It's our biggest blowout sale ever.
You're looking smarter than ever at JCPenney, yeah.
Hey, Chris, can't go surfing dressed like that.
Can't today, going home.
Home? I thought you were staying all week.
Mom wanted ice cream last night. Dad couldn't find our money.
What, did he lose it?
Somebody stole it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll see you next summer, though, huh?
Yeah.
It could happen to you right here in the U.S., so don't carry cash. Carry American Express traveler's checks. Don't leave home without them.
Tums is one antacid that can really handle heartburn. It's a lot stronger than the No. 2 brand.
That's one good reason we use Tums. And Tums happens to be rich in calcium.
That's the second good reason.
Minneapolis, St. Paul are definitely theater-loving towns. A lot of people have heard of the Tyrone Guthrie Theater, of course, but that is just one of nearly 100 theaters in the metropolitan area.
The Chanhassen Dinner Theater, just west of Minneapolis, has 4 shows running at all times. One of them, I Do, has become a local legend. David Anders and Susan Geppinger started it all in 1971, playing husband and wife in the 2-character musical which chronicles 50 years of a marriage.
Together, forever, forever together, for this is the promise you give. Together, forever, forever together, through all of the sorrow and happiness, together as long as you live.
During the 16 years the show has run, Susan and David's offstage life began to parallel their onstage life. They fell in love, and like the characters in the play, they married. Later, again like the characters they play, they had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Aaron is now 10 years old. Chris is 12. The family lives just a few miles from the theater where for most of the last 16 years, Mom and Dad have gone to work, playing 2 people who have managed to keep their marriage going for 50 years.
Susan Geppinger and David Anders join us now. David, I know there was a time when you'd be putting a little gray in your hair to look older, and now what, you do the opposite?
I have to darken the beard and wear a wig now to do the first act.
You must think of I Do as a career.
Yes, I think so, and our kids don't think of as ever having a different job. You know, we've always done it since they've known us. And, of course, we started doing it before we were even married.
You do other things from time to time, too. So as actors, you are not Little Johnny One Note. What if I were to ask aloud the audience how many of them have seen your production of I Do? Would a lot a say yeah?
Well, I know of 2. Our kids are here and they've seen it.
How many have seen I Do at the Chanhassen?
Great.
Well, that is quite a lot.
Beautiful.
Why don't we play a little bit of it? I'm told that the production itself, for actors, is a killer. Why don't we look at a clip?
You ain't heard nothing yet. Let's get married, and we're gonna play for one and all. Leaving you recitals at Philharmonic Hall. We're gonna be a double bill, the oldest team in vaudeville if they don't marry soon. I'm gonna spend a year in bed.
I'm gonna dye my hair bright red.
I'm gonna learn to shoot some golf.
I'm gonna take my girdle off.
Take a second honeymoon and we say marry soon.
Susan Geppinger, David Anders, thank you. For people who are tuning in late, that was not the Minneapolis sound. You will hear that in just a moment. Time for a station break.
Thank you, Dan.
It's Bob Hope's birthday special with guest stars Lucille Ball, Kirk Cameron, Emmanuel Lewis, and honored guest President Reagan. It's Bob Hope's Hotline Birthday Extravaganza Monday.
From do-it-yourself detection kits to increased funeral cost, people are cashing in on AIDS.
There's a guy out there that beats a Chinese gong and he charges $500.
Single people can even purchase safe date cards. What happens if you leave home without one?
I don't know where they were last night. I can't guarantee anything now. I'm not going to guarantee that now.
Steve Wilson brings you a special investigative report, Cashing In on AIDS, tonight on News 11. Dennis Feldgen has moved up to 11.
The state of Minnesota has long been known as the land of 10,000 lakes, but these days it's also becoming the land of 10,000 musical artists. For sure, this part of the world is becoming a force in the music industry, and it's no accident.
Minneapolis, St. Paul is clearly the hotbed of music in the country, and I think per capita we have more musical talent than any other metropolitan market. The big turning point seems to be Prince's Purple Rain, most of which was filmed here. 23 acts have been signed to national contracts for the first time since Purple Rain came out, and 2 years prior to that there were 3 acts signed to national labels out of here.
When Prince put a major spotlight on the Twin Cities back in '84, many artists quickly stepped into it. One group to capitalize, his own spin-off group, The Time. with singer Morris Day. And fellow band member Jesse Johnson, they both seized the opportunity to launch solo careers. It is within the walls of this nondescript building on Nicollet Avenue that Minneapolis music continues to thrive. Out of Flight Time Studios came 6 of last year's most popular records. They just happen to bear the stamp of 2 other former members of the time, the hottest writer-producer team in music today, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
We don't think of our songs as being better than anybody else's. I think what makes them successful is we always strive for good melodies. Even if it's just a dance song or just a song, up-tempo, funky song or whatever, we always try to go by, if we stripped all the drum machines and all the synthesizers and all the hip 1980 things away, would they still stand up as songs in their own right? And we think most of our songs fall into that category, so we always try to be very conscious of that.
That unique style is working, and as a result, business is booming.
What? Frank Sinatra, we're busy.
Musicians of every type are coming to this unlikely city to put their faith and next album in the hands of a hot duo.
Janet opened up a whole new landscape, I believe, for music.
As a team, we brought out the best of each other. She brought out the best of our production, and we brought out the best of her vocal abilities and different things.
They're great at writing grooves. They're great at writing simple lyrics that somehow stick with you. The simplicity really works for them, and they know how to keep you dancing.
I think we're good producers because we write songs so well. That's what I think.
Yeah, we understand our songs. I think it's hard to give a person a song and have them understand it or feel it the way you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to me, a song, the most important part of a song is feeling. You know, you have to feel something from it. Otherwise, why even go through with it?
Yeah.
But there is another side of the Minneapolis music scene. An abundance of nightclubs provides the perfect platform for local homegrown talent. And these so-called garage bands have ample space to showcase their wares and wait for a big break. Husker Du is a band that's making its name known around these parts and nationally too. And Bob Mould, why don't you do the introductions to the other 2 members for me?
Myself, Bob, the guitar player. This is Grant Hart, our drummer, vocalist, co-songwriter. Greg Norton, bassist, vocalist, and also songwriter for the
I'm not
band.
going to try to assign a label to your music, but how would you describe it?
Popular music, I guess, rock and roll.
Just good old hard rock and roll?
That's it.
Are you going for commercial success, or is it enough to be happy here in the Twin Cities?
Well, we tour all over the world, and we just pretty much play our music the way it happens. And if we get commercial success, that's just a benefit of being happy.
Let me get away and let you play something, okay?
Could you be the one they talk about? Well, hiding inside behind another door. Is it only happiness you want? Does wanting a feeling matter anymore? It doesn't mean that much to me. Sometimes I don't mean that much to you. And I don't even know what I'm hiding for. And I don't even know what I'm crying for. I don't even know what I'm hiding for. I'm crying inside. Oh, hiding inside. Could you be the one they talk about? Life is a game that only you can make. Maybe I'm about to throw it out. Give it all. It's all that I can take. It doesn't mean that much to me. Sometimes I don't mean that much to you. And I don't even know what I'm hiding for. And I don't even know what I'm crying for. I don't even know. Well, could you be the one? Could you be the one? Could you be the one that's hanging around? I don't even know what I'm crying for. I don't even know what I'm hiding for. I'm hiding inside. Oh, hiding inside.
We're going to come back in just a moment and disappear to the sounds of Husker Du. But first, here's a word from Nancy Ford.
Thank you, Bryant. And now the following message is brought to you by Scope with T25.
Eric, I'm sorry.
Forget it.
You're here. Sit. I nearly said...
Eric, your breath's so bad, I can see it.
There it is.
Where's my mouthwash?
I bought something new.
It's blue.
Just taste it.
Introducing Scope Peppermint. Peppermint like you've never tasted before. Cool, crisp. Wow! Like original mint, it's got the power to kill germs like medicine-y mouthwash, and your breath's icy clean.
How's that?
Oh, excuse us.
Now the power of Scope comes in peppermint, too.
Most of the time, I smell pretty good. Deodorant under each arm, aftershave, cologne. Hey, the last thing I need in this job is body odor. But sometimes, in the heat of competition, things get a little close. I'm glad I use Safeguard every day. It's not just a cover-up. Safeguard helps protect against the bacteria that causes body odor. Plain soap can't. With Safeguard on my side, those little bacteria hardly stand a chance. Neither does the competition.
Oh, your 5-alarm chili's hot stuff.
Yeah, but how do we get rid of the grease? With a hose?
Looky, we use Dawn. Dawn scatters grease, clears it away like a house of fire, helps keep it away.
Ha! Look what I found in your boot.
Wash that? After all those greasy dishes?
Yep.
Looks as clean as the first.
You're learning, rookie.
And my hands don't feel greasy. So, what's on the menu for tomorrow night?
An old family recipe. Swedish meatballs.
Dawn takes grease out of your way.
Your dentist has lots of tools to help your family fight cavities. But what about his family? Well, he brings them a different tool. Chances are he chooses Crest. That's right. More dentist families use Crest than any other fluoride toothpaste. They know no toothpaste fights cavities better. After all, Crest has proven itself in test after test. Your dentist does all he can here for your family. And at home, he does all he can for his. Shouldn't you? Make the cavity-fighting choice more dentists do. Choose Crest.
It may have been a little chilly, but it never rained on us here in the Twin Cities. We're grateful for that. We thank all you lovely people for coming out and being with us, too. Thanks for hosting us. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be in Colorado. Louie L'Amour. We'll also talk some Colorado politics, the acting debut of basketball star Alex English, and much more. For this day, from all of us here in the Twin Cities, thanks for being here. Enjoy your Wednesday.
Tonight on an all-new St. Elsewhere, as the staff struggles to save the hospital, the Craigs fight to keep their granddaughter.
I won't give Barbara up.
Tonight.
It's the Electric Fetus 19th anniversary, and we are celebrating with these great new releases. The Replacements, Pleased to Meet Me on Sire Records, LP and cassette $6.99, compact disc $12.99. Hooskadoo, Warehouse Songs and Stories on Warner Brothers, LP and cassette $8.99, compact disc $15.99. The Wallets, Take It on Twin Tone Records, LP and cassette $6.99. And Soul Asylum, While You Were Out on Twin Tone Records, LP $6.99. Come in now and save the Electric Fetus, 2010 4th Avenue, South Minneapolis.
$49. Right now, soft contact lenses are just $49 at the optical department at Sears.
You're about to take a trip in a new Chrysler LeBaron, a true driver's car that gives you luxury and the luxury of saving. LeBaron prices start at just $11,295. And now get 3.7 financing or $500 cash back. Plus, save hundreds on our discount equipment packages and get the 770 protection plan. But to take this luxury saving trip, first, you have to take a trip to your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. See the all-new LeBaron Coupe starting at $11,295 at your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
The walleyes are biting on News 11. Catch me tonight.
This is the NBC Television Network.